basketball on CBS Sports Network is presented by Chase Freedom Unlimited. And tonight, a big-time matchup in the pit here between Utah State and New Mexico. Let's go ahead and check out tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Chase Freedom Unlimited. For the Aggies, Sean Bairstow getting his second career start, just the third overall starting lineup this season for Utah State. And for New Mexico, Saquon Singleton, the senior, now back for his fourth game, a welcomed addition of experience for this young roster. The first time here that Mountain West Conference basketball has been here in the pit in over 600 days, and we welcome you in, Jordan Kent, alongside Mike O'Donnell. And Mike, you love the fact that you got two high-powered offenses, both looking for their first conference win.
Utah State third in the country in assists, and New Mexico plays with the 12th fastest tempo in the country. I think we might have a lot of points here tonight, Jordan.
Aggies win the tip. Your officials tonight: Vern Harris, Sean Lehigh, and Rob Kruger. Early deflection, New Mexico fighting for it, kicked up ahead. Emmanuel Quach controls.
And Quach with the great deflection on post defense. That's a good looking first possession defensively for New Mexico.
The Lobos 7-7 on the year, did not play a single game last season in the pit. One of the best home court advantages in all of college basketball. Certainly happy to be here for their first home opener in conference play. Here's Mashburn Jr. His jumper rolls out. The Aggies, stress ball movement, one of the top assist teams in all of college basketball. They're going to look for the best shot that they can possibly find. And they're led by Justin Bean, Mr. Do Everything, one of the best, most well-rounded players in the country. It's Bean, fires the jumper, back iron.
Back-to-back good defensive possessions for New Mexico to start this game. That's something to make Coach Pitino really happy.
Mashburn Jr., the son of former All-American and NBA great Jamal Mashburn, draws the first foul of the game. And Eric Brown, the acting head coach for New Mexico, because earlier today, Richard Pitino, the usual head coach for the Lobos, ruled out due to COVID protocols. In his 21 years, Mike, this has been the first game he's ever coached as a head coach.
How cool is this? You know, you always talk about next man up from a player perspective. This is next man up from a coaching perspective. Coach Pitino, wish you well. Know you're watching tonight. Should be a good one.
Turnover Lobos, that'll give it back to the Aggies, and Utah State comes in after a disappointing loss to Air Force, and Ryan Odom in his first season as head coach comes over from UMBC. Of course, the Retrievers etched their name in history by knocking off #1 overall seed Virginia in the first round of the tournament back in the 2018 season.
And Coach Odom won from the get-go at UMBC. He was the fastest coach in UMBC history to 50 wins.
Here's Mashburn Jr., kicks it back out to Quach. He'll fire the three, knocks it down.
That's what's been missing from this New Mexico team. Drive and kick action, the unselfishness by Mashburn Jr. That's a big-time offensive play.
Rylan Jones, the transfer from Utah, running the show at point for Utah State.
That's tough.
Idle Rock, the drive, and fouled as he elevates.
We'll take a look at this. Last three from Quach. Mashburn will regularly draw two defenders because he's so good getting downhill. When he becomes a driver to make the right play instead of just a driver to score, his game elevates tremendously.
RJ Idle Rock, the senior from London, England, a transfer from UMBC, was the leading scorer for the Retrievers last season. Isn't quite filling it up at the same clip, but some welcomed experience to this Utah State team.
You're still learning your role. Anytime you come to a new team, same coach, yes, comes over with Coach Odom, but you have to play in a different system when you're playing with Justin Bean and guys like Rylan Jones. You have to understand your new role.
Foul down low, that is the senior Saquon Singleton. So you see New Mexico going with some of their options 2 and 3 as they stay away from the two high-scoring guards.
Passing, cutting has been really good these last few possessions for New Mexico. Something that Coach Odom talked about for Utah State defensively said, we got to play tougher. We got to play angrier. We have to be more locked in defensively. New Mexico taking advantage of some lapses mentally on the defensive end from Utah State.
Singleton completes the three-point play. Backdoor cut. This is what Utah State wants to do. They will share it around. Bairstow, however, misses everything. Possession Lobos.
That's a good offensive possession for Utah State. There's a good backdoor cut by Jones. He's amongst the trees, so he kicks out to the corner, right? That's typical Utah State basketball. They have not been shooting the ball well. They went 1 of 19 from 3 in that loss to Air Force. Gotta have a short memory, George. You know that as a former player. You gotta let that, you gotta trust your offense and let it go.
And that was the conversation we had with Ryan Odom. You stress passing so much. How do you make sure your players don't pass up a good look? And you get the sense that his team has found that balance.
Good Horvath with that backdoor cut.
Horvath can't get it. Another transfer from UMBC. Singleton kicks it out. Quach had a thought about it. House keeps the dribble, falls to his feet. Ashburn Jr. draws 2 defenders, kicks it to Quach. Quach turns it over, trying to feed it on the baseline. Utah State starting this game 0 for 4 from the field. Being slapped away by Singleton, then bobbled out of bounds. So the clamps from the New Mexico defense early on.
Good defense, one-on-one defense for Singleton. He's in ISO situation with Justin Bean. So you take a look at some of the real struggles offensively for Utah State. 1 of 19 from the three-point line. That's a rarity. That's not going to happen maybe ever again the rest of the season. But Coach Odom would tell you, look, not worried about the offense. Our defense wasn't there. He actually showed clips of their loss to Air Force and their win versus Oklahoma. They put them next to each other and said, look, we're just playing harder against Oklahoma in that win.
Right now it's New Mexico playing harder. They've raced out to a 9-1 advantage as Singleton splashes the corner 3. And the Aggies in desperate need of a bucket here. Jones, the pump fake. Idle rock. Aggies finally get their first field goal of the game, and it's Mr. Reliable, Justin Bean.
Justin Bean is one of the best rebounders in college basketball. He has a relentless effort every single possession.
Early substitution, Sebastian Forsling, the freshman, checking in for New Mexico and whistled for the travel. So that'll bring us to our first stoppage in play, but New Mexico giving Utah State a bit of their own medicine with their ball movement. That frees up the senior Singleton for the second 3 of the game for New Mexico. But Justin Bean finally getting the Aggies on the board, trying to get some rhythm. First time in over 600 days that Mountain West Conference action has taken place here at the pit, and is certainly welcomed here as New Mexico is out to a 9-3 advantage. With that, we welcome you in once again. Jordan Kent alongside Mike O'Donnell. And Mike, for a New Mexico team that has to score points, they want to try and get to that 80-point mark. This is exactly the kind of start they're looking for.
Well, how about Jamal Mashburn Jr. averaging 18 a game, one of the great scorers in the Mountain West. He's already got 2 assists, even though he's scoreless, sharing the ball. I love the ball movement for New Mexico so far in this game.
For Utah State, Justin Bean leads the way. And if you're New Mexico, how do you stop one of the most productive players in the entire nation?
Well, here are my O'Donnell rules for slowing down Justin Bean. You can't get greedy. Don't go for too many steals. He'll pick you apart. He moves so well without the basketball. No missing links. Everybody needs to be connected. And you have to channel your inner Olivia Newton-John and get physical. Coach Pitino talked about we have to be more physical, we have to be the aggressor, and we need a bigger sense of urgency on defense. We can't be bullied around. Justin Bean's relentless offensive rebounding is a concern. You got to put a body on him.
Mike, I love the Olivia Newton-John reference. We're not even halfway through this game.
You weren't ready for that.
Justin Bean operating on the baseline. J. Allen Tovar checking in for New Mexico. Bean has the only field goal for the Aggies, but how about the backdoor cut by Bairstow?
Cuts on drives are so important to Utah State's offense. It causes so much confusion. You're so worried about Justin Bean that you forget about the weak side.
Here's Singleton, 6 points already. short on that three. One thing they have to admire about Bean is how well he moves without the basketball. And another short three, so Bairstow 0 for 2 from outside to get this thing going.
Nice extra pass.
Singleton caught in midair, kicks it back out to House. A long three. Offensive rebound, chased down, saved by Singleton. House on the attack, puts up the floater, can't get the friendly bounce.
That's a good offensive possession for New Mexico. You got an offensive rebound, got the defense shifted, just missed a two couple buckets.
Utah State now 2 for 8 from the field.
Here comes Mashburn.
Singleton in the corner, back over to Mashburn. And both House and Mashburn can operate at the point guard position, get this offense initiated. Forsling, nice find to Singleton. Lobos whip it around. Mashburn Jr. from up top, cans it.
He can hit that. He's only 32% on the season, but he's absolutely a guy who can get hot from three. Prolific scorer.
Third three of the game already for the Lobos. Jones trying to work off Horvath. Horvath left-handed take, gets tripped up, and they're going to whistle a travel is the call. So another turnover for Utah State.
I really like what I've seen from Jamal Mashburn Jr. in this game so far. As you take a look as he knocks down a heavily contested three. He's already got 2 assists tonight. You add in a 3. We talked with Coach Pitino via Zoom. He said, look, he's a great scorer and a fantastic player. But if we can get him to drive and kick and initiate offense and look for additional passes and assist opportunities, we become so much better as a collective unit offensively.
And what's impressive about Mashburn Jr. is he scores at such a high clip that you get the sense that he lets the game truly come to him.
Well, he's got kind of an old school game. He's one of the best mid-range shooters in terms of efficiency in the Mountain West. And so most players aren't tailor-made for that kind of game, right? It's 3 layup or dunk or free throw. But Mashburn can play inside of 17 feet, and he is a knockdown shooter 17 to 19 feet.
7th combined turnover between both teams, not even 8 minutes into this first half, so a little choppy out the gate. Jones circling the baseline, dumps it off to Horvath. Nice find, can't finish.
How did Jones see Horvath there? My goodness.
Mashburn Jr. brings it back down. Forsling trying to get position, broken up by Bean. Stephen Ashworth seeing the floor for the first time. Another 3, that's off this time for Max Shulga, the sophomore from Ukraine. Taryn Todd and KJ Jenkins also checking in for New Mexico, and this is a New Mexico team that'll roll that lineup out and make a lot of changes as Alan Tovar, his 3 is off. So New Mexico still holding on to a 7-point lead, courtesy 3 made threes. More action when we come back.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Chase Freedom Unlimited. How do you cash back? And by AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, and secure.
Beautiful evening here in Albuquerque as New Mexico racing out to a 12-5 advantage over Utah State. And Mike, it's been the Lobos and a 3-point shot that has aided them early on.
I think what Coach Pitino is going to really like watching this is the assists. The drive and kick action for New Mexico has been really efficient. They've been looking to drive to make a play, not just drive to score. And that's the next evolution of this New Mexico offense. Hit 3 threes in the first half. Watch Mashburn Jr. and Singleton all getting involved in the action.
3 assists on 4 made field goals for New Mexico. And coming into this game, for the Lobos, they knew that they couldn't allow their defense to be rotated by this ball movement for Utah State. But right now, it's New Mexico that's been rotating the Utah State defense. Bean can't handle the potato. Picked up by the Lobos. Here comes Todd. This is a New Mexico team that 80 has been the magic number for them. When they score less than 80 points, they're currently 1-7 on the season. Sprinted out with 9 quick points, but now the offense is slowed down. Here's a long three. That's off.
Shulga got away with a carry.
Jones has been asked to be a little bit more aggressive on offense. Talking to Coach Odom, he wants him to shoot it more. That three draws the back iron. Todd with another rebound.
That's a good point by you, Jordan. Yeah, when Jones is aggressive on offense, they're winning games. They need him as the point guard and the leader to look for his shot. He's got the green light.
Alan Tovar getting on the board as he muscles in the 2, and the Lobos push their lead to 9.
It's not really a huge secret here, Jordan. New Mexico's just playing harder on both ends of the floor.
Bean will line up a triple, and that rattles home.
Yeah, he's knocking that down every time. 54% from 3. It's exhausting to guard. He's going to pick and pop, pick and roll. You know, when you prepare your scouting report and you're watching film with Justin Bean, what are we supposed to do? How do we slow this guy down?
Well, he does such a great job of freeing himself up as the 3 is knocked down. KJ Jenkins joining the party for New Mexico.
Second on the team on made threes. Jenkins can shoot at 37% from 3.
The Lobos now 50% from outside. Alan Tovar skying and snatching that board. Jenkins trying to put on a show one-on-one. Tough turnaround jumper, no good.
That was really good defense by Justin Bean on the much quicker house.
Jones kicks it up ahead. Dorius rejected. The Lobos with some rim protection.
It's one of the best shot blocking teams in the Mountain West.
Howell's trying to knife his way through the lane, and it looks like Bean might have rolled his ankle. He's a little slow to get down the floor. 3 from outside by Ashworth.
That's a ridiculous pass by Ryland Jones. You don't make that play without being a pass ahead.
So stoppage in play as Bean heads over to the bench. And when we were talking to Coach Odom, he mentioned that ankle has been bothering Bean. So we'll give you an update on his status when we come back as Utah State trying to get back into this one. Bean on the sideline. Bean getting looked at on the sideline. New Mexico still attacking, and this time it's Todd rolling it in. Ashworth, the drive, the kick. Idle rock, patience, draws the foul.
That's such a great ball fake by Idle Rock. One thing that he does really well, he sells it with his eyes, too. Your eyes can sell lies.
Let's take one more look at Justin Bean and see what he possibly tweaks here, Mike.
He comes up to contest the shot, and that looks like right foot, right ankle to me. Just came down awkwardly.
Yeah, it looks like he landed on the foot of Ryland Jones, so unfortunately a little friendly fire for Utah State, but you figure Bean, who worked his way into a scholarship as a walk-on at Utah State, since he's a player that's just going to tape it up again and come back out.
Well, he got hurt in high school, and all his offers left. So he decides to walk on at Utah State, goes on a 2-year mission, then he redshirts. That is, I mean, can you think about how mentally tough you have to be to stay the course almost 3 years before you're playing college basketball in game action? Kid is tough as nails.
House kicks it outside. Here is Johnson, and so the three-point barrage continues for the Lobos.
I like the unselfishness. I like the movement on the offensive end for the Lobos. It's efficient.
Lobos now 5 of 9 from outside. Idle rock, cross court. Here's Horvath. Horvath with the match.
Anytime you have a floor stretching big like Horvath, which means essentially a big guy that can shoot the 3, it's so hard to guard because it adds additional closeout responsibilities for players who aren't used to closing out at the 3-point line, and puts defense in disarray.
Jenkins will let another one fly. Tough rebound by Shulga. Shulga kicks it ahead. Idle Rock trying to jump stop through the lane. Can't get it. Rebound House. Jenkins lost a wheel. So we'll stop play there for a moment. The three-point shooting for New Mexico continues to lead the way for them as Johnson drops it in, but Utah State trying to take the best shot that New Mexico can offer as Horvath answers back. College basketball on CBS Sports Network is presented by Chase Freedom Unlimited. Under 8 minutes left here in the first half in Albuquerque, New Mexico with a 22-16 advantage over Utah State. Tomorrow at noon Eastern, it's a women's hoop tip-off as LaSalle takes on Fordham. Catch it all right here on CBS Sports Network. And how about the play of Anna DeWolf lately? 20.4 points per game. How about the three-point shooting at 36% in 7 20-plus point games? That leads the Atlantic 10 so far this season. Looking at this game here, Mike, New Mexico's gotten off to a stellar start. They're shooting 50% from the field. You've got 5 different players that have hit a three. But for Utah State, you're still just down 2 possessions with Justin Bean getting his ankle looked at behind the bench.
Yeah, you can't have fool's gold defensive identity for if you're New Mexico with Utah State only shooting 27%. They're getting good looks, Jordan, just not knocking them down.
Singleton fouled down low, and the ball movement of New Mexico, I think it's worth pointing out once again, coming in Utah State, one of the best passing teams in the country, but the Lobos have been very impressive in the way they have just been unselfish here in the first half.
I think it's been really good. It's been efficient, it's been aggressive, and again, I go back to the difference between this New Mexico first half versus other first halves this season. The perimeter guards, they're making plays at the rim to try to get a bucket for them or their teammate, not just themselves. That is a pass. That is a disgusting pass by Jalen House.
Ooh. Singleton with another bucket down low. Also, Justin Bean, as we mentioned, the tough as nails senior, back in the game. Had that ankle looked at. Looks like he got it wrapped up, and the leading scorer for the Aggies back on the floor as Horvath fouled on the drive. Manuel Quach whistled for the foul.
You're so worried about House as you watch the defender right here. You see his eyes are stuck. Leaves the back cut open, and then take a look at this pass. Live dribble passes are something that NBA scouts love to see. It added so much pressure on the defense. So you're not just stopping, pivot foot, pass. This isn't the 1980s anymore. You want your guards to pass on live dribbles.
And when you look at the 2 guards of House and Mashburn Jr. for New Mexico, they have such gravity on the floor. Defenses are so tuned into them. What we've seen from those 2 guards here in the first half, their unselfish play has really given New Mexico a lot of high-quality looks.
I think, you know, when Coach Pitino talked to us about our guys just need to play hard, play more physical, there's a portion of that matters on the offensive end too, right? Having the toughness to not be selfish, not take bad shots, make the extra pass. And I think you and I both agree it's a really efficient offense so far in the first half for New Mexico.
Horvath splits a pair. And going back to toughness, that's something you almost have to develop by watching yourself on film and going through those ups and downs and seeing where you can improve your physicality.
Just because you're not a big team doesn't mean you can't be physical and can't play with great effort. Again, Jordan, the drive and kick. That is the evolution of the game. Used to be back in the day, if you guarded a drive and kick or you forced a drive and kick, that was good defense. Not anymore. Too many guys can shoot the 3.
Jones up and under with the response. Mexico up by 8, and how about this? We've had 9 threes made in this game, all made by 9 different players.
It's my kind of game, man. I don't want a game in the 40s. I want a game in the 90s.
Here's Mashburn Jr. Shot bothered. Bean with the loose rock. Bean up ahead. A little bit of traffic down low, and that's knocked out of bounds. New Mexico ball.
And here's another 3 from House. Coming off the driving kick from Johnson, that deep corner. When you drive baseline, you always want to have a player slide to that corner, the opposite corner. It's usually open.
Mashburn Jr. drawing 2, kicks it over, wide open Johnson, who drills another one.
Why not? Javante Johnson. I really feel that he's going to be the key to New Mexico's season. He could be that third guy for the Lobos, like his game.
Johnson 2 of 2 from the field. Horvath can't respond. And so the Lobos, enjoying their largest lead of the game, will get a chance to add on to that. So you look at 107 3-point field goals made in 14 games. That already eclipses, Mike, all of the threes they hit in 22 games last season. Forsling, quick catch and shoot down low, draws the foul.
You know, I like what Forsling did there on that play was he didn't bring the ball down. He caught it at his chin, went right back up to the rim. That's fundamental basketball. I'll take some old school hoops too, Jordan. Don't think
I
I'm
know
all
you're
about
old
the
school
new age.
because you talk about Olivia Newton-John.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
So that's the second foul on Brandon Horvath. That'll bring the freshman Sebastian Forsling to the line. He's gotten a lot more playing time lately due to some of the injuries in the front court for New Mexico. And like any young big man, it's a matter of just getting used to, as we say before, the physicality of the game and operating in that paint and establishing your positioning.
But also any coach, any player will tell you, freshmen, it's the speed of the game.
Yeah.
You know, how quickly you have to adapt on defensive rotations. Offensively, how adept you have to be in tune when you're playing with fast guards like House and Mashburn. It's a lot to absorb in your first year.
Jones pressured by House. Jones trying to take it all the way, and that is erased by Alan Tovar. So the aggressive New Mexico defense, they lead the Mountain West Conference in block shots, on pace for a school record for total blocks this season.
We had Singleton along the baseline.
Mashburn Jr. creating off the dribble with the splash.
The mid-range is not dead, Jordan. It's not dead. As long as Jamal Mashburn Jr. is playing, the mid-range jumper is alive and well. He's got New Mexico Lobos rolling.
New Mexico building a 14-point lead in this, the first ever game that assistant coach Eric Brown is now the acting head coach. We mentioned 21 years of NCAA coaching experience. Spent his last 2 years at Arizona State, but is somewhat familiar with the Mountain West Conference. Had 3 seasons at UNLV, and another little footnote, he's coached some terrific players in his career. How about coaching Gilbert Arenas back when he was in high school?
Yeah, and he also, when Coach Brown was at UNLV, he recruited Bryce Hamilton UNLV. You know how good Bryce Hamilton is. He's one of the top 5 players in the Mountain West. So Coach Brown very familiar with Mountain West hoops.
Looking at the 2 guards for New Mexico, House and Mashburn, the number that really jumps out at you is they each have 3 assists, and they are really orchestrating this New Mexico offense and setting up their teammates for some excellent looks.
9 assists on 12 made field goals, and it's been House and Mashburn who have started that unselfish attack in the first half for the Lobos.
Utah State struggling from the field, just 6 of 21. Bean trying to change that, working on that hobbled ankle, short on the jumper.
That was really good help by Jenkins, number 0 on Bean, who blew by his initial defender.
Jenkins put together a very productive first half so far, the transfer from Kilgore College this season. The constant passing of New Mexico. Jenkins trying to pick his spot. That's going to be a turnover off his thigh. And for New Mexico, there's that pace, but there's also a rhythm to their offense. They aren't trying to just take the first available shot. They're looking for those openings, much like Utah State does here. Nice setup, 3 no good in the corner. Rebound once again to Alan Tovar.
I still think that's fool's gold defense by New Mexico. Those shots absolutely can start falling for Utah State. That's a pretty good look for 3.
Bean gathers the turnover, tries to take it himself, and a tough take that kisses off the window.
That's Justin Bean, just can make contested shots, whether it's 3, mid-range, or around the rim in transition. Shoots 65% from the field. That's 6th in the country. Mr. Efficient.
Bean now leading all scorers on his team with 7, but it is Johnson who cashes in another triple.
Flamethrowing here in the first half for the Lobos.
Idle Rock playing some bully ball down low, gets it to drop. But Javonte Johnson 3 for 3 from outside. New Mexico shooting 61.5% from beyond the arc here in the first. Johnson lets it fly again, and Johnson bringing back Mountain West Conference basketball to the pit in style. Here is Bean, shoved and gets it to drop. They're going to wave off the shot. Foul happened before he got it up.
Might be a little cool outside, but it is hot in the pit. The Lobos absolutely on fire from 3. 9 threes in the first half. The Lobos are cooking offensively.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, Tina Servacios, Shelvin Mack, Seth Davis, and John Rothstein are standing by in our New York studio. They'll get you up to speed on today's college basketball action. That's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Around the NCAA today, Seton Hall surviving UConn in overtime. Richmond with 27 points. How about Oklahoma State with the Big 12 upset? They knock off number 14 Texas 64-61. And Kansas dropping a game on the road, defeated by Texas Tech. But here's the big one, Mike. Colorado State suffers their first loss of the season. They lose to San Diego State by 30 as the Rams shoot just 28% from the field.
I'm blown away by that score. I early on in the season had Colorado State as a potential Sweet 16 team. They didn't play like a Sweet 16 team earlier today. They were 3 of 20 from 3 in that loss, blowout loss to San Diego State. Shocked. Incredible performance by the Aztecs.
And right now it's New Mexico on pace for a blowout. They lead Utah State by 16 thanks to 9 of 14 shooting from outside. Another battle down low as Idle Rock gets that one to fall again.
And he can do that. You have to worry about Idle Rock's 3, and he gets downhill really well. But if he has a smaller guard on him, they will absolutely go ISO with him in the post.
New Mexico 11 assists on 14 made field goals. Here's Jenkins elevating, no good. Ashworth back to Jones. Jones trying to spin his way into the paint. A pump fake and a tough bucket.
Really tough. Rylan Jones is a guy who, when Utah State's offense is struggling, yes, he's a fantastic passer, 5.5 assists a game, but when he has a scorer's mentality as well, changes the dynamic of this offense.
House accelerates off the screen, kicks it back outside to Todd. Todd poked at, foul on Ashworth.
This is the best point guard first half for Jalen House. He's only got 3 points, hit a 3, missed 4 shots, but he's got 3 assists. And all 3 of those assists have come at the absolute right time. He's made the right read and the right pass at the right time this first half. He's been really good.
Well, you mentioned it, the ability to get into the paint, collapse the defense, and have the vision for the best shot available on the court. That's what's really stood out about both House and Mashburn Jr.
Well, I'd like to talk about, Jalen House as a point guard. He's a scoring point guard, but really your mentality is, as a leader on the floor, are you reliable or are you a liability? And right now, Jalen House is a reliable point guard.
House, of course, the transfer from Arizona State, was with Eric Brown at Arizona State last year, so the two linking up here.
First bad shot of the game. First bad shot of the game.
And Bean trying to fight his way, whistled for the charge. And New Mexico and Mashburn Jr. hustling back to get positioning.
This is just a heady, strong, and unselfish play by Mashburn. You want to talk about getting set at the very last moment. A little bit of movement there, but that's your classic 50-50 call that we'll be talking about to the end of time, Jordan.
The blocker charge.
Yeah.
Always debatable, and credit Bean for trying to be aggressive, but New Mexico, I think their defense has really helped bring them the energy and execution they've seen on offense. House feeds it to Alan Tovar. Lobos working around. Mashburn Jr. doesn't even touch the rim.
Well, Alan Tovar got triple teamed. Utah State actually overhelped on that play and made a great kick out to Mashburn Jr.
That is the 10th three-point field goal for New Mexico this half. The lead is now 15. Ashworth chucks it up. Back iron, out of bounds, New Mexico ball. So one more look at just this excellent ball movement once again for New Mexico.
Well, it was overhelped by Utah State. Alan Tovar doesn't demand a triple team in the post. You always need help in post, but defense has got to figure out better ways to stop it for Utah State.
Coming into this game, Utah State led the Mountain West in assists per game. The Aggies sitting at just 5 assists here in the first half. It's New Mexico, 12 assists on 15 field goals. 10 of those are threes here, Mike.
They've been lights out. The offense has been really good. Something that Utah State needs to fix is their on-ball one-on-one defense. Dribble penetration has been way too easy for New Mexico, but they are clearly taking advantage of it. Having confidence, being ready shooters, stepping up and knocking them down.
And what is New Mexico seeing when the Aggies bring a second defender? Because we've seen that a lot of times off of that ball screen action with Mashburn Jr. and House when they have the rock.
Well, when you talk about good offense usually means you've got good spacing. But when you're spacing as a shooter, what should you do? Stand, wait, say, hey, I've spaced out, I'm good. No, you need to scan to the open area so there's a better passing angle. And the shooters for New Mexico are spacing well, but they're scanning into the open area.
Reminder again, head coach Richard Pitino out for tonight because of COVID protocols. Eric Brown, the assistant with 21 years of experience, head coaching his first game ever. And he's got the Lobos up 15 with just under 10 seconds left here in the first half. 2-second differential between shot and game clock. Here's Jenkins weaving around traffic, can't get it. Horvath about to put it up from beyond half court. And that'll do it for the first half of action. New Mexico putting on an offensive clinic. 12 assists, 15 field goals, but highlighted by 10 made three-pointers. It is Javonte Johnson who's already knocked down a career-high 4 made threes. And New Mexico rolling as Mountain West action returns to the pit for the first time. College basketball on CBS Sports Network is presented by Chase Freedom Unlimited. We'll send it back to Tina and the gang in New York.